everyone, welcome back to the Raupp Museum collection storage. For our blue box today, we're going to do box 49, which has more textiles, so clothing. And I'll start out with, you can see something on my left here that I've hung up from the box. You can see it better, but I'll start with some of our other items in the box first. So let's take a look. So the first two things I will unwrap are a pair of women's gloves. And we have two different pairs of gloves to look at today, and both of them are nylon gloves. And the first pair here are black with some line decorations on the front. And a great thing about nylon is that since it's a synthetic fiber, it doesn't absorb as much moisture, which makes it a little bit easier to preserve in museum collections than other types of fabric. And you can see here there's a little clasp on the back, and both of these gloves are from about the 1930s to 1940s. And then the other pair here have a similar clasp, and they were worn by the same woman. They were from the same donation. This one doesn't have as much decoration, but does have some lines here as well from the fabric. And these would have been more of like a fashion type of glove. They're not very warm. They're very thin gloves. All right, let's take a look now at some of our other items in this box. The next textile we have here is a lace bonnet, and this is called a Dutch bonnet from about 1928. It was brought by the donor's sister when she came to the United States in the 1920s. And Dutch bonnets typically have a style with flaps on the side, little triangular flaps, or they'll have a large brim here like this one does, and they're usually made of lace or cotton. This one has a beautiful ornate lace design here with leaves and what looks to be little grapes or seeds attached. And then there's a string here to close the bonnet in the front. This would have been a woman's bonnet, of course. It's a little bit too big for a kid. All right, let's take a look at our next item. So the next item in this box is a young boy's wool hat. And this hat was worn about the 1930s and 1940s as well. There are little buttons on the sides. Now, one thing about preserving wool in museum collections is that it can be a favorite of a number of common insects in North America, typically moths or carpet beetles. And those insects really like dark places, which is how we keep the collections most of the time because light can damage items. So we monitor any type of insects we see to make sure that they aren't getting on items like this wool hat and eating the different parts of the wool and nesting in them as well. So you can see inside here, it has a knitted section on the inside, and then the top part here is actually a leather. And for this item, I have put unbuffered tissue, so it doesn't have any acid, inside so that we don't get creases as the hat lays inside the box on the top here. All right, so then let's take a look at our big item that's hanging up on my left. Now this dress here is from the 1920s, and it's in the typical flapper style. It has a lot of sequins, as you can see, and it's really, really heavy. So one of the reasons that we don't typically store dresses on mannequins or on hangers is because that puts a lot of pressure at the shoulders here. it has this like a lace back with all the sequins attached, makes it put a lot of weight here and would damage the dress over time. So this dress lays inside the blue box during most of its storage. And it's one item that we can't take out very often because it's so heavy and doesn't sit well on a mannequin. But for now, I took it out so that you can see it a little better for just a few minutes. And on the top here, we also have a matching little jacket, sequin jacket. So you can see some of the design on the back. There's a little flower design at the bottom and some V shapes. So both of these were worn together in the 20s and 30s as a evening dress and jacket ensemble. So we hope you enjoyed this blue box opening, and if you have any questions, let us know.